We're going live.
First day. Is first.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
First day.
Jeff Henschel, are you hearing us or can you speak to us or what?
I can. We should be all set.
Okay. You see the go live, Jeff?
I just say we're live at the top of the screen.
Yeah, and Lori, we're live on Facebook, so we're good. Okay, we're going to begin this meeting. Good evening, everyone. We are going to begin tonight with a reading of the orders from the governor and a vote to determine that it is okay with all of you to hold this meeting electronically. This is January 19th, 2021. This should be the regular meeting of the Gallatin City Council. The order says pursuant to Governor Lee's executive orders number 16 and subsequent orders and the need to limit the community spread of COVID-19, the January 19th, 2021 Gallatin City Council meeting will be held by electronic means. The meeting will be live streamed to protect public health, safety, and welfare of the council and the citizens of Gallatin. You can join the Zoom meeting at the link that you see there on your screen. You can also find that link on the City of Gallatin Facebook page under the events section, also on the City of Gallatin website. You can join the meeting also by phone by calling 470-381-2552 or 470-250-9358. If you do join by phone, you have to enter a webinar ID. That webinar ID is seen on your screen. It's 821-2910-2813. This meeting is also live on Facebook, on our Gallatin City website, and cable channel 19. However, if you wish to participate in the meeting, you need to do so via Zoom, either through computer or through the telephone. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Overton to hold the meeting electronically, seconded by Councilman Alexander. Are there any questions or any discussion? Okay, I'm going to ask Ms. Kittrell to do dual duty here and call the roll and vote on this.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Present, yes.
Councilman Fan,
Here and yes.
Councilwoman George,
Here and yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Here and yes.
Councilman Overton.
President, yes.
Mayor, we have a quorum and we also have a 7-0 vote.
Thank you so much. So the meeting is now called to order, and we're going to begin the meeting as we do each meeting with the invocation. And this week, Nick Tuttle, who is our city engineer, is going to pray for us. Please bow.
Father, we come to you this evening, and as usual, we enter your courts with thanksgiving. We are very thankful for your provision for us, for your blessings on us, for your favor. And Lord, tonight, as we gather to discuss more business for the city and citizens, Father, I pray that you would continue to provide wisdom and guidance, that we would heed those words of wisdom and guidance, and that we would continue to follow after your path and your way. We thank you for all of this, and it's in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, thank you, Mr. Tuttle. We've called the roll. We're going to move on to the approval of the minutes. You have the December 15th, 2020 special called City Council meeting minutes and the January 5th, 2021 City Council meeting minutes. I'm sorry.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Hayes, a second by Councilman Fennell to approve both sets of minutes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And I would ask if there are any corrections or additions requested. Okay, seeing no one indicating that they have any, I'll ask Ms. Kittrell to call the roll for the approval of the minutes.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, we have a 7-0 vote.
Thank you very much. The minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is public recognition on agenda-related items. At this time, I'd like to make the public and the council aware of an agenda change that we do need to make. I guess I would ask for this council to approve this change without objection. May I do that, Ms. Hamakaali? Okay, so what we need to do is item number 3 is listed on your agenda as a second reading. This is actually supposed to be a public hearing. So what we will do is we'll have 2 public hearings at the beginning of the meeting. For the public's information, you can comment at this time during public recognition on anything that's on the agenda, but you need to know that there are also 2 public hearings on the agenda for this evening. The first one will be the amendment to the City of Gallatin urban growth boundary. That's one of the public hearings. This, what I'm saying, is going to be the second one, is actually going to be a public hearing on amending Article 12 supplementary district regulations specific to fences, walls, and hedges. So if you'd like to speak to either of those items tonight, you might wait till item number 1 or item number 2, which are going to be those 2 public hearings. I will ask the council at this time, do you have any objection to making that correct change to the agenda?
No. No.
No.
Okay, everyone looks fine with it, so we will move forward with doing that. And at this time, we will open public recognition on agenda-related items. If you're calling in, you're going to hit *9 to raise your hand and indicate that you wish to speak under public recognition on agenda-related items. If you are joining by computer, there is actually a raise your hand function on the screen. If you hover over it with your cursor, you can click that and it will show a raise your hand icon by your name on the screen. Also, I want you to know that there is a time at the end of the meeting for public recognition on items that are not on the agenda. So if there's something that you want to speak to that's not on this evening's agenda, you actually have an opportunity to do that at the end of the meeting. So right now, public recognition on agenda-related items is now open, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Henschel.
Thank you, Mayor. Now is the time to use the raise your hand function. I'm going to look at our attendees and both of our panelists, make sure we don't have any names. Okay, it doesn't appear anyone would like to speak.
Okay, we see no one indicating that they wish to speak under public recognition on agenda-related items, so I'll move along to Mayor's comments. I have 2 very quick things. First, I want to welcome Mr. David Kellogg, kind of his first official full day on the job as Superintendent of Gallatin Public Utilities. So welcome, David. We look forward to working with you and know that you will do a fabulous job. How's it been so far?
It's been good. It's been a Monday after a holiday, or a Tuesday after a holiday weekend, but it's been good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, you're very welcome. And for the public who may not know, David is new in this role, but he is certainly not new to the City of Gallatin or Gallatin Public Utilities. I think 30 years there, right? And on he moves in this new role, and we know he will do well. Secondly, I would like to acknowledge the event that took place yesterday, which was the Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Day Parade. This is organized each year by the NAACP. This has been going on for decades in our community. It's very unique that a city our size has an event of this magnitude. This year had some modifications, as you might imagine, due to COVID. What is typically a foot parade became a car parade, and the program was not delivered in an auditorium, but rather in a parking lot via a radio station with speakers there actually speaking to the crowd. The crowd could see the speakers, but they were actually listening to them over their radio. It was done very, very well, and the attendance was good. And it was a really great day and a really great event that the NAACP of Sumner County works to perpetuate in our community. So I want to thank the organizers, the participants, and the volunteers who helped make that happen yesterday. And that will conclude Mayor's comments for this evening. And we're going to move now to the agenda. The first item is public hearing on resolution R2101-3. And for that, Councilman Overton will introduce it.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution adopting, recommending the Sumner County Coordinating Committee an amendment to the City of Gallatin urban growth boundaries for Sumner County, ratified by the City of Gallatin pursuant to the Public Charter 1101, Acts of 1998, and this is a public hearing.
So the public hearing on resolution R2101-3 is now open. This will be just like public comment. If you are on your phone and wish to raise your hand, you will hit *9. If you're on the computer, you will hover over the raise your hand function, click it, and it will show on the screen that you have raised your hand and wish to speak.
Mayor, it looks like we do have Michelle would like to speak.
Okay, and we ask that when you speak that you introduce yourself and give us your address, please.
This is Michelle Juvance, 1335 Long Hollow Pike. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Great, thank you. I wanted to speak on the urban growth boundary change. Just in talking to a friend of mine who's in the property, she has property over in the Ocana area. And apparently several of her neighbors as well in that area don't want their properties in the urban growth boundary for Gallatin. So I just wanted to speak in opposition to adding in their properties, the people who are opposed to being in the urban growth boundary. And I'll tell you why. Right now, to be annexed into the city, a property owner needs to request it, which wasn't always the case. For example, my property, as you all know, was annexed by ordinance along with all of my neighbors and all of the people who were opposed to being annexed into the city at that time. Right now, there are people at the state level that are trying to change the state law to change things back so that property can be annexed by ordinance again. I don't think that it's right to do that, to annex property against people's will. Because when you're doing that, you're taking country people who just want to live their happy lives and have horses and cows and mind their own business, and you're imposing city life on them. You're imposing things like what's going to happen in our backyard with a road that's going to have street lights, and that's not something that we ever wanted. So when you impose things on people, it's just not right. And here there are people that don't want to be added into the urban growth boundary because in the future, if that law gets changed, they can be annexed against their will into the city. And that's something that I don't think they should have holding over their heads. Just because Anthony Holt wants to have the school annexed into the city doesn't mean that their properties also need to be put into the urban growth boundary. I think that there could be a nice compromise made where the school property could be put into the urban growth boundary, but these people whose properties are being included in that swath of land, just draw the line so that their properties are not included. It's something that could easily be done. I think that might be something that would be possible. And I mean, if you think about it, if you annex in a bunch of people in the future that are opposed to being annexed, and the reason I'm saying that is because I did kind of skim through the report, and on page 52 of the report about this, it does say that if it becomes available again, where annexation by ordinance is a possibility, that's something that the city would think of doing, would be to annex in already developed properties by ordinance. So yeah, so that's all. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Vance. I see no one else indicating that they wish to speak. So with that, we will declare the public hearing on resolution R2101-3 concluded and move on to item 2, which is going to be the public hearing on ordinance 02012-53. And Vice Mayor Fennell, you will introduce that.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a public reading, repeat a public reading, and this is for Article 12, Section 12.01, regulations applicable for the district regulations, Section 12.01.020, fences, walls, and hedges of the City of Gallatin zoning ordinances. This is repealing conflicting ordinances and providing for severability. Now, I want to make an amendment to this right here, if we can do that.
John, this is just a
for the public hearing. Excuse me?
I don't think we'll make an amendment to a public hearing, do we, Susan?
No, it's just a public hearing.
Well, one thing that I'd like to say is that on the residential side, as far as the 6-foot fences is still, that's okay. What on the first part of it, if you read, but if you go down to the second part and read of it, on 7 foot or taller, if it's commercial property or residential property, and where the commercial meets the commercial and multifamily meets the residential, then they can put a 7-foot fence or taller fence, but they still have to go through the building and the codes and get obtain a building permit for that. And this is a public hearing.
Okay, so this is public hearing on ordinance 02012-53. And again, you will raise your hand on your phone by hitting *9. And if you're on the computer, hover over the raise your hand and it will illuminate by your name on the screen if you would like to speak in this public hearing.
We do have someone that's raised their hand, Eben Appleton.
Right. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I live on Hardin Street at the corner of Berry and Hardin. And I think it's wonderful that Nathan has taken the lead in all of this, because our neighborhood is very, very concerned about this traffic situation on Airport Road and Cairo. We were there, Charlie and I, my husband, Charlie Appleton.
Miss Appleton? Miss Appleton, yes. I have to interrupt you. I'm sorry. This is the public hearing about an ordinance related to fences.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was in the other room. I thought you were talking. I'm so sorry. I thought you were talking about
your comments.
All right.
Your comments will be appropriate at the very end of the meeting. We'll have public recognition on non-related items.
Well, I apologize. I was on another line and just came in and said, raise your hand, and I did
understand. I understand, and I hate to interrupt you, but trying to follow.
Oh no, I may come back in later. So
that would be fine. So thank you. Now you know how to do it, so we'll see you in a little bit.
Yes, I do. Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's anyone else wishing to speak, please raise your hand now in this public hearing. Okay, I see no one indicating that they wish to speak, so we're going to declare a public hearing on ordinance 02012-53 closed. We will now move to what has become item number 3 on the agenda, which is resolution R201-3. And for that, Councilman Overton.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution adopted and recommended to the Sumner County Coordinating Committee, an amendment to the City of Gallatin urban growth boundaries of Sumner County, ratified by the City of Gallatin pursuant to Public Charter 1101, Acts of 1998, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Overton, a second by Councilman Alexander. That opens the floor for discussion. Anyone wish to discuss any further? Well, for the public's information, you know, this is something that's been discussed over the period of several months. We're not all in agreement on this, but I think the council directed the planning department on how to move forward. Planning department has done such. And this now moves to, with this vote, will move to the county coordinating committee, and they will review this. And does it come back to us for another vote after that, Ms. Hamakawi? Or do you know? I don't.
I can answer that.
Oh, Mr. McCord, okay, go right ahead.
Yes, ma'am. After the coordinating committee finishes their review, they may make some suggestions on or recommendations for changes from not only Gallatin, but the other communities. And then they will essentially send that or transmit their recommendation back to each of the local governments for formal adoption. And assuming that the local governments do agree to that, that would be sent to the local government planning advisory committee. If they don't agree, then I believe it goes to some sort of mediation or arbitration process, and that gets more complicated. So,
yeah, and ultimately, then so we approve it again before it goes to the LGPAC.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that lovely explanation. Any questions from any members of this council? Are you ready to move forward to a vote? Okay, this is resolution R2101-3, and Ms. Kittrell, if you would call the roll for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George, Councilwoman George.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, resolution R2101-3 does pass unanimously. Item number 4 is second reading on ordinance 02012-55. Councilwoman Love.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating $52,264 for the use and benefit of the city of Gallatin in support of the Town Creek Tributary Watershed Study. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Love, second by Councilman Alexander. Is there any discussion on this?
I thought they was already supposed to start on this. Is this in the Triple Creek area, or is this pertaining to pretty much all of Gallatin, where it runs down through the center of Gallatin?
Town Creek.
Mr. Tuttle, you want to go back through it?
I got you.
Yes, ma'am. I'd be happy to. This is Nick Tuttle, city engineer, and these funds are actually from the development and the developer of the Windsong development. And so this is a particular watershed study that they're contributing money to that we're going to move forward with these funds. So it's all going into the Hellwood Estates development, the existing subdivision. That's what we're going to be studying.
Okay. I remember now. Thank you.
You remember the $100,000 that they committed
Yes.
to help mitigate the flooding in that neighborhood? So this is going to be a piece of that. Certainly it's going to likely use the rest of their money, and ultimately will depend on the city of Gallatin doing, I'm sure, more and additional projects in that neighborhood.
Am I right in saying, though, that the Triple Creek area, that is already supposed to be underway here in the near future?
It's in process. We haven't determined exactly how everything is going to happen at this point. So.
The Corps of Engineers is spearheading that actual study there. Actually, they're working on the design plans right now. So we have already given a lot of funding to it, but there's still some more funding that will be needed from us in the future. And we should be able to handle all the needed funding from our stormwater utility.
Well, the reason why I asked is because when I read up on it, I was thinking that the Town Creek actually was benefiting also from the Triple Creek development.
That is true.
Okay.
That's true. So
that's
this
why I asked that question.
Yeah, this particular study that we're talking about tonight is another tributary that goes into Town Creek.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
Yes, sir.
At what point do we consider Town Creek starting from the north?
That's a good question. Nick, do you know?
I would be better off using a map to show you that, but I can get you a picture.
Is it like near Liberty Creek or?
I actually don't remember if I think it actually tails off and follows 31E out towards Airport Road, and that particular branch of where the creeks come together is called Town Creek.
Okay.
So we were actually talking about that, the grading activity near the intersection of Airport Road and 31E. There's a small stream that runs between that grading activity and Highway 31E.
I just know there's a lot of activity out in front of my business on 31E, and it looks like they're studying for something. And I was assessing it to part of that.
So what approximately starts there around Airport Road?
I think that's the branch that's considered the main branch, where the Triple Creek, where we're talking about in the park, that's where 3 branches come together and you really have what we would consider Town Creek being formed. But I believe the main branch of the 3 is the one that forks off almost directly to the east of there, the intersection of 31 and Airport Road.
Thank you.
Anyone else with questions or discussion? Okay, this is second reading on ordinance 02012-55. Ms. Kitchell, if you would call the roll for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Fennell, Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George.
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Hayes, Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays. Vice Mayor Fennell.
Sorry, I've got it playing back to me too. Okay, so it passes unanimously. Item number 5 is first reading on ordinance 02101-1. Councilman Overton.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance appropriating funds for the completion of infrastructure improvements in the Home Depot subdivision, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve by Councilman Overton, second by Councilman Hayes. Any discussion? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance 02101-1, and Ms. Kitchell will call the roll for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you, Ms. Kitchell. It passes unanimously. Item number 6 is resolution R2101-1. Councilman Alexander is recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign contract 7/20/2020 with Infinity Pipeline. I so move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Alexander, second by Councilman Overton. Is there any discussion? This is resolution R2101-1. Ms. Kitchell.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. Resolution R2101-1 is passed unanimously. Item number 7 is resolution R2101-2. Councilwoman George.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution authorizing the mayor to sign contract 8/20/2020 with Cleary Construction Incorporated. I so move.
Second.
A motion by Councilwoman Love, a second by Councilman Alexander. Is there any discussion?
That was Councilwoman George, Mayor.
Did I say Love?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was our first one.
And I'm sitting here looking at her name when I said that. I just have never said another name after Councilwoman. So I apologize, Councilwoman George. I'll get it right now. So this is resolution R2101-2. Ms. Kittrell, if you would call the roll for us, please.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. Resolution R2101 presented by -2 presented by Councilwoman George passes unanimously. Item number 8 is resolution R2101-5. Councilman Hayes.
Yes, this is a resolution reappointing Lynn Asante to the Gallatin Industrial Development Board. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Hayes, a second by Councilman Alexander. Any discussion? Okay, this is resolution R2101-5. Ms. Kittrell, for the roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. Item 8, resolution R2101-5 passes unanimously. Item 9 is resolution R2101-6. Vice Mayor Fennell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution reappointing Larry Weiss to the Gallatin Industrial Development Board. With that, motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor Fennell, a second by Councilman Fan. Was that you?
Yes.
I did. Somebody else did too.
Okay. All right. A second by Councilman Fan. Any discussion? This is resolution R2101-6, and Ms. Kittrell will call the roll for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you so much. It passes unanimously. Congratulations to Mr. Wise and Mr. Asante for their reappointments to the Gallatin Industrial Development Board. Item 10 is resolution R2101-7 and Councilwoman Love.
Thanks, Paige. This is a resolution reappointing Lynn Asante to the Gallatin Health, Educational, Housing, and Facilities Board. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Love, second by Councilman Fan. Any discussion? Okay, this is resolution R2101-7, and Ms. Kittrell will call the roll for the vote.
Vice Mayor.
Sorry, I said Councilman. You know why? Because it still says it on the screen. I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Fennell.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. Resolution R2101-7 passes unanimously. Item 11 is resolution R2101-8. Councilman Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution reappointing Larry Wise to the Gallatin Health, Educational, Housing, and Facility Board. And I so move.
I second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Alexander, second by Councilwoman George. And any discussion on this? Okay, this is resolution R2101-8, and Ms. Kittrell for the roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
It passes unanimously. Our thanks and congratulations to Larry Wise and Lynn Asante for their reappointments to the Health, Educational, Housing, and Facilities Board. Moving on to item number 12, we have resolution R2101-9. Councilman Fan.
This is a resolution approving an indemnity and hold harmless agreement with a certificate of liability insurance to use city-maintained right-of-way once constructed and accepted by the city of Duval Drive, Beck's Place, and Spearling Drive in the Cumberland Point subdivision for the installation and maintenance of street trees. And I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fan. I think it was second by Councilwoman Love.
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion on this from anyone? Okay, this is resolution R2101-9, and Ms. Kittrell will call the roll, so you may vote.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you, Ms. Kittrell. It passes unanimously. And item number 13 is resolution R2101-10, and Councilman Hayes.
Yeah, this is a resolution appointing Beth Bennett to the Gallatin Electric Power Board. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Hayes, a second by Vice Mayor Fennell. It got changed on the screen. Your title did. Whoever did that, thank you. Opening the floor for any discussion. Seeing none, this is resolution R2101-10. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Kittrell will call the roll for the vote.
Vice Mayor Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you so much. Resolution passes unanimously. Congratulations. And my thanks to Beth Bennett for her willingness to serve on the Gallatin Electric Power Board. That concludes the regular agenda. It moves us now to other business. I would ask of this council if there is any other business to come before the board this evening, and we'll consider. Anyone with anything?
Nope.
All right, I see no one indicating that they have anything to bring forward, so we will move now to public recognition on non-agenda related items. This is the time of the meeting where you may speak to anything that's not on the agenda. You just raise your hand. Reminder, if you're on the phone, you do that by pressing *9. If you're on the computer, you use your cursor to hover over the hand, and it will illuminate a raised hand by your name on the screen. So right now, public recognition on non-agenda related items is now open.
Okay, Michelle's back. Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to give you an update on the intersection of Long Hollow Pike and Harris Lane. I had sent you emails this week, and I didn't know if you received the emails. I got a reply back from Councilman Fan, but I didn't know if anyone else had gotten the pictures I sent. And then also, I know Pascal sent pictures to Nick Tuttle. So yeah, the guardrail's still knocked down. We still have, the same problem there. So just wanted to see what you were planning to do about that. I know we need to have that pork chop taken out and maybe replaced with a hot dog, right, Steve?
Yes, ma'am.
So yeah, anyway, that was what I wanted to bring to your attention here. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Boggs.
Renee Saunders, go ahead.
Hi, this is Renee Saunders, 2092 Rodman Boulevard. I saw a story on the news regarding, I think, First Baptist Church and the homeless cold weather shelter that they're providing. And I wanted to know, this is the first time I'd ever heard that we had such a thing. Of course, everyone has homeless people, but I was wondering what the city of Gallatin is doing in particular in support of the efforts that Ms., I believe her name was Alford or Austin, is putting forth to help the homeless in Gallatin.
Okay, thank you. I don't see anyone else with their hand raised.
Miss Appleton, she was the lady. There's your hand. Did you want to speak at this time too?
You can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I was talking about the light that we were hoping to have at the corner of Cairo Road and Airport Road. I think this has been brought up. Certainly Nathaniel Shell has been working diligently to try to bring all of this together and to the, and to the attention of the council. My husband and I were going down Airport Road, turning left from Cairo, if you're looking at it that way. And we decided to go about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We could not get across. He was looking one way, I was looking the other way. All the lanes were coming together at one time, and it was extremely dangerous. And of course, you've heard this before, and it's been a problem for a long time with our neighbors and everyone else. So I know that there was something said about the state, the TB, that they were handling all of these concerns, wanting traffic light there. And I think all of you were in favor of having one, but is it the TBA? I'm not real familiar, but it appears that, they haven't really taken a big interest in all of this, and that maybe your hands are tied. So those were the only remarks I wanted to make.
Thank you, Ms. Appleton. Anyone else with public comment on non-agenda related items? Okay, seeing no one. I'll just mention 2 things really quickly. Ms. Appleton, I think you were speaking of TDOT, and it's not that they don't have an interest, it's that there's a process that has to be vetted, I guess. Several issues that have to be vetted before it can be determined whether a stoplight's the appropriate solution for that intersection. It's not just about traffic counts, it's about the engineering piece of it. The city is exploring that. We have several pieces that have to come together, and then we would have to figure out what the best solutions are. And in some cases we may have to in theory here, suggest some I can see a place whereby we would have more than one potential solution, and we would seek public input. So I don't know that the light is going to be the only solution, or if it is going to be a viable solution, but that's the reason we have to go through the due diligence to see what those solutions are. So thank you for that. Dr. Saunders, you mentioned about the homeless situation. The city has, I'm not going to say a strict protocol, but we do have a kind of a protocol on how we support nonprofits in our community financially. And that is through an application process, through a grants process. As far as what the city does to help our homeless population, our police department has been very proactive for a long time, trying to help people that they encounter who are homeless in whatever way might suit them best. We have not, to my knowledge, had any requests specifically. I do think that there probably has been some outreach from the police department to that specific ministry, but I couldn't speak authoritatively to that. I don't know if Chief Bandy's on here, if he knows anything that he would say about that. But so that all of our nonprofits are treated fairly, we do have the process through which we do that through our grant process.
Mayor, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I did watch that information on the news the other night, and I think it's a great thing that church is doing, and I know there's several people, and John D. Alexander's one of them, that gives away some food baskets and stuff like that. But my question is, they made a comment, a news anchor did, that we had X amount of homeless people in Gallatin. I guess maybe we do. I know we have some, but I'm out in Gallatin daily, every day. And when that number was brought up to me per the news comments, it was just hard for me to believe that there was actually that many people that was homeless in Gallatin. I just don't see it unless, how are we getting that number? How's that a factual number?
Well, I don't know what number was presented, and I don't know what a factual number would be. I mean, it's kind of hard to do a census of homeless people. I think they probably shared a number of people that were using their services. And so,
because I think of homeless out in the street like you see in Nashville, I don't really see that. Or if I do, not that much in Gallatin, unless they're saying that people needs the help in living with somebody else, but they need financial support or the groceries.
Well, and remember, not all homeless people are people, you know, living on the streets. There are people living in cars. There are people living with other people. But I think that number was probably a number that the organization providing the services relayed. But I certainly appreciate you acknowledging the good works that others are doing in our community too, because we do have a lot of people doing food drives, and we may have some other churches doing some homeless outreach. I don't know of any off the top of my head. I do know that we have a lot who are very active in reaching people who are in recovery, and you know, some very specialized programs with different churches. So I think that's so wonderful that we have so many active churches in our community. We probably have a very large number of churches per capita compared to a lot of other cities our size, and that serves our community well because they are all able to tap into and aid different areas of need, and it makes a difference in our community. So I appreciate what they're doing.
And I believe I've heard that other churches are getting involved in helping with the Stay Safe shelter.
Oh, good.
I think it was a great program that was presented, that we could see the actual reality of what's going on in all of our cities. Deborah Alston is a personal friend, and she has done a lot for the church she's involved with, and also the outreach to the homeless. They exist. I mean, behind Walmart and you know, and cars and places that we just don't think about, because we really aren't driving the roads the time of day when they need to be housed. So it's definitely an issue. And I would like to hear from our chief of police if he knows anything more than we don't know.
Yeah, yearly we have and I can't think of the agency, but they will send us a email yearly to go out and do our best, especially in the winter months. It looks like maybe the first of the year we'll probably get that notification to go out and see what we can find as far as homeless or anybody that, you know, again, living in their cars or what it may be. And again, every year that number is not the same as what's been presented. Again, in a couple, I know that we've had a couple reports. So like the mayor said, I think that they're probably counting the ones that are using their facility, which is great, and we definitely need it. Unfortunately, we do need it this day and age, but overall, we have a few here and there, but I don't think it matches the number that's being used when they use that facility.
And Chief, you might want to weigh in on this. I know that you and I have had discussions in the past, like when I've asked the police department to check on a particular person or something. We find a lot of people that have been at the mission in Nashville, and they decide to come to Gallatin to, you know, to see what services we have here. So they're not people that are from our community that have lost their housing. They're people who sadly are perpetually homeless, and we've taken them back to Nashville on several occasions. What's been your, I mean, has your exposure, is that, I know that that's stuff you've shared with me in the past. I don't know if that's kind of consistent or not.
Well, absolutely. And again, I don't know if consistent would be the best word, but I know a recent incident where a family, I worked with some of the folks at the school board, and we were back and forth in some conversations. And at the end of the day, and again, this is nothing against anybody, they I don't know when I say take advantage of the situation, but they were, again, when we're trying to give them certain help, they seem to not want that certain help. So, you know, again, that's all we can do is offer. I know I worked, you know, like I said, with the school board on that situation, because anytime, especially with children, you want to make sure that they're taken care of, and they're, you know, have a home and have a good shelter and food, and they're taken care of to make sure they can go to class and learn something. So. Other than that, you know, again, there's bits and pieces. And usually if if anybody brings our attention, we do our best to address it right away, because it's something that, again, it's an urgent matter in my opinion, and that's our philosophy at the police department. And we're gonna do our very best to provide for those citizens just like we do the rest. So.
And one of the things that I'm most proud of, and this, a lot of the members of the council may not know this, but our police department has been successful with helping homeless people in our community connect with family members and send them to their home with their families. And that's been nice when they've been able to do that, when there's actually somebody that they are related to that's willing to help them, and they say, come stay with me. So that's great.
Mayor, as you know, I'm associated with on a nonprofit low-income daycare here, and we've had several homeless kids and families involved with that. But I have to say, Gallatin is one of the best ever, because anytime we reach out to our associations, whether it's a police chief or anybody else, they all step up to help us. And we've had several over the last few years, especially. But we have a lot of resources here in Gallatin, and they do a fantastic job of helping us find places and find resources for these families. So hats off to all of them that gets involved in this. And that story was right. I don't think the numbers are quite there where she said there was. I think there again, somebody said it's the resources they've had, people they helped. But we're lucky to live in a city that does take care of them and has the resources to help. So.
Well, and we don't, no city, I think, has enough resources. Homelessness is a problem that we've certainly seen more of in recent years, and will likely see more of in the years to come. And so there have to be some better solutions that none of us have discovered in our brains yet. And I love and respect the people who that is their passion, and I know that is certainly this lady's passion, because I've only talked to her a few times, but oh my goodness, she's passionate about it, and she's made a difference in a lot of lives.
May I add something to that, please?
Absolutely.
Miss Deborah Austin Barr, she's been working with homeless people for a number of years, as far as trying to find them places to live and stuff. And I think what Miss Sanders was referring to was not different organizations such as churches, but what is the city of Gallatin as a city doing to alleviate the homeless problem. I've been looking at some places myself that I would like to partner with someone. We had a nursing home over on Page Street, Swanson Nursing Home, that's been empty for a number of years. That would be a good place to maybe put some homeless people, but I'm sure that place have deteriorated over a period of time. And there was a place out on 386 going out of town to the left at one time that was up for sale. But I think what Ms. Sanders was referring to was what, if any, plans does the city have as a whole as far as addressing the number of homeless folks. Now, there's a lot of homeless folks that stay in cars, especially over here in the 5th District. And I know there's a camp out behind Walmart where a lot of homeless people go. So I'm just personally myself just looking at different buildings that can, I don't know what the liability would be for the city to open up a shelter, but that's something that I've been looking at and studying for quite a while.
Do we have a criteria, definitive criteria of what qualifies somebody to be homeless?
Yeah, I don't know if the police department has that, but just like Mr. Alexander said, and again, I say this, and I know everybody's got a big heart on here, but if you know of somebody or somebody that's out there in a camp or in a car, we need to know about it. If we don't know about it, we can't do anything to get them the resources to help them. So it's everybody's duty. It's every citizen's job to do their very best to help those that are in need. So that's the point I want to get across.
Ms. Hadamcall, could I ask the city attorney a question? Is she on here?
Yes.
What would be the liability, say, for the city of Gallatin if we was to open a place like, say, for an example, Swanson Nursing Home or any kind of building with, a lot of rooms and beds? I mean, how would you go about doing something like that as a city?
Well, that's something we would really have to research and spend some time on. I can't really address all of those issues with you tonight. But it would definitely be liability for the city. We would have to partner with our insurance company and probably get additional insurance. And you know, have not done that. I will do so if I'm directed to do so. But that's something, if we're going to go down that path, that we need to spend a lot of time, maybe in a work session or at some point, really talking about all the potential liability issues, because there are many.
Right, I understand. Yeah.
To do it on
the financial liability is the thing that I would be most concerned with.
Well, certainly
and staffing it.
Certainly, I want to help everybody that's local and lives here, but I see the potential of people coming up from Nashville or somewhere else to see what we have to offer. Next thing you know, we're having to foot that bill right there. You know, naturally, the residents, I want to help everybody if I can, but certainly the people from Gallatin, you know, if that could be done. But I don't want to be a calling card for Atlanta or Nashville or somebody like that. I think that could get out of hand.
I think that is a concern, Mr. Fennell. And I also, you know, I don't know, honestly, don't know much about homeless accommodations in other cities. I do know that the Nashville Rescue Mission is not a government entity. It is a nonprofit. And you know, we had the Good Neighbor Mission here for a long time. It was a nonprofit. I'm just not sure that that is something that our government and our taxpayers really have the capacity to provide for at this time, because that would be a substantial budgetary impact, I would think. But I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to, you know.
It would probably need to be worked through the churches and have a group of churches, if not all of them. But I see a lot of problems with opening one at this time.
Now, I do know that the NF Church, I think that's the name of it in Gallatin, that they are going to have a very large missionary statement for the homeless. And they're actually going to be bringing in physicians and dentists to help. So I don't know exactly where it's going and when that's going to happen, but that's the direction that they're going in.
I actually have a flyer on my desk, Northfield Church, and what the vision for their ministry is. So I'm hopeful that, I mean, I think more and more churches are kind of seeing how needs have shifted and where the opportunities are to serve. And you know, and like I said, the city is always willing to help, but I just don't know if we have the ability to create exactly what's needed. But this is the first conversation, so thank you all for your thoughts and participation.
Gallatin Cares.
Are you speaking of the organization or the fact that we do?
That did kind of come
another
out.
Great resource, though. Another good resource. So, but thank you. I think that is true, and certainly some amazingly caring and devoted community members. Anyone else with other business? All right.
I'll say one more thing. What Sean brought up, local charity starts at home. So we need to look at if this were to progress, I think we need to look at the existing people here in this county.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, yeah, I agree with you that we need to look into it. But, you know, we do have buildings such as Salon Zone, got room down in the basement, if you will, a lower level that's not being utilized. But like I said, I know there's a lot of liability to the city. That's just something I've been studying and trying to look into. And I will give Ms. City Attorney on that, just something I'm working on personally myself.
John, you got a huge compound yourself.
I know, but thanks, Sean. I appreciate that. Then you have a lot of people out in front of my house.
Well, thank you all. If there's no other business this evening, we are.
Motion adjourned.
We may adjourn. I hope you all have a good evening. Thank you for the conversation, and hope to see everyone safely back here next week. Stay well, stay happy. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Eat more chicken.